Hello, neighbors. It is Thursday, August 6th, and you are on the Mediavine Summer of Live. I'm your host, Jenny Guy, and in honor of this weekend's upcoming National Book Lovers Day, will you please tell us what you are reading and loving? Because I don't know anyone who doesn't need a little escapism right about now. We could all use it. We could all get outside of our homes with our books, because we can't get outside of our homes with our bodies. I hope everyone is doing well out there today. I usually do a longer intro monologue, but I'm not going to today because I'm just very excited about my guest today. It is we do this session every summer. It is the Publisher Support Live. I'm so excited about the ladies I have with us. We're just gonna have a good time. We're just gonna shoot the breeze and live our dreams. We've got our Director of Publisher Support, Heather Tullos, and our Assistant Publisher Support Manager, Carmen Stinson. It's her first live. I don't know how that's possible. Hello, Carmen.
Hey, I'm not nervous at all, you guys.
I know, I can tell. Carmen is not nervous. I'm not nervous. I just wanted to say that one of the coolest things about Mediavine is our incredible, unparalleled publisher support team, and we won some amazing awards. We were the winningest company at the Google Certified Publisher Partner Summit in late 2019, and it's because a lot of the work that these women do here and other people. So I'm going to read their bios, and then we're just going to start talking. Carmen is one of our assistant publisher support managers. She's been with Mediavine since 2017 and has gotten the opportunity to be a part of the exciting growth and evolution of Mediavine's offerings. Those are a lot of evolutions. She's passionate about people and finding proactive ways to help our publishers. She lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and pre-pandemic, her hobbies included listening to live music and trying every charcuterie board in town. Hi, Carmen.
Hey, guys. Excited to be here.
Glad to have you. And then I had Heather. Heather is here. She's not in her driveway this time, which is awesome, but the driveway was also awesome. Heather is the Director of Publisher Support at Mediavine. She authors the food blog Sugar Dish Me and is the keeper of all the dogs. She's been optimizing sites since before Mediavine had health checks and works best with 94 tabs open. Welcome back, Heather.
Hello. I'm super glad to be here.
I'm super glad that you guys are here. All right. I predict that we will be getting loads of audience questions today, but that is nothing new for these award-winning Mediavine Publisher Support rock stars. Lovely ladies, before we dive into the heavier stuff, will you tell us a bit about a day in the life of a publisher support specialist? Give us some of your favorite behind-the-scenes intel, how things have changed since you started, your favorite parts of the job, Tiger Week 2020, whatever you want to share. Carmen, you want to start?
Yes, I think, honestly, there's really no way to say what a day in the life at Mediavine is like because every day is so different, which I love, obviously. I think we're mostly focused on emails and talking to our publishers. That's always been a huge priority for us because we always want to have that open line of communication and be super accessible to all of our customers and publishers that we work with. But there's lots of gifts, lots of emojis, lots of Slack chatter. Our team is hilarious. I love working with our team. They're so much funnier than I am, which makes every day hilarious and different. But yeah, and then we're just staying on top of all of the changes and everything that's upcoming in the advertising industry and with Mediavine, and no day really is the same, which is great.
God, that's the truth. We were interviewing somebody for a job, and they're like, "What's a typical day?" I'm like, "No." The answer is just no. There isn't. Heather, you've been here since the very beginning. Can you talk? How big is the team now? Tell us a little bit about the changes, please.
The support team is 35 people strong, I think. Sometimes I have to go back and check, but yeah. We usually add, I don't know, the last few years, the trend has been like 7 to 9 people a couple times a year. And it's really just because the growth that the company has seen is something that we want to keep up with as a support team. We want to make sure that everybody is always getting those same levels of customer support that they've gotten since the very beginning. Obviously, when I started here in 2016, things were really different. It was just me and Nicole and Brad from the internet answering most of the customer questions that were coming in. And then a year later, we added Carmen and a handful of other people. And it's just been full speed ahead since then. So like Carmen said, our team is amazing, and no 2 days are the same. And we're kind of divided into smaller teams. So I don't know if everybody knows that half of the support team is actually made up of support engineers. That's who fixes all of the everything when you guys email in with technical issues, or you need an ad moved, or you change your theme. Those are the wizards that make all of that stuff happen. And then the other half of the team are all of the people that optimize your earnings. So those are the people that help you understand where your money's coming from and how to make more of it. Carmen's got a whole little circle of people that run proactive reports and fix things before you realize that you broke them.
Yes.
So yeah, we have a lot going on.
A whole lot, and so many people. And you guys are totally hilarious. The Tiger Week happened earlier. You guys had Spirit Week, and you did Tiger King, and it's incredible. And then we have a channel that we just call Out of Context. And I can't reveal too much because it's a secret Slack channel, but I can always tell when like it's been a day for the support team, because it's the out of context flow, and I don't need to understand them to enjoy them and laugh at them hysterically. And like we have days like that. Every team I know has days where like I'm broken, my brain is broken, I have no more strength.
Fridays.
Yes.
God, yeah. Why does that?
I don't know. Luckily, we have each other, though. That always makes it so much easier.
It does help. Having each other is so helpful. So if you guys have questions for Carmen or Heather, please drop them in there. I want to talk about, though, in spite of the bonkersness, and that's a word I'm trademarking today, we've had some exciting things drop at Mediavine, and a release that was long in the making was Dashboard 2.0, which is now just the dashboard. And as with many developments at Mediavine, our dashboard glow up incorporated a ton of feedback and feature requests from both our publishers and from you guys, because you spend more time on the dashboard than anyone else. So would you, Heather actually was here a few weeks ago to talk about the dashboard, but it's such a game changer for publishers that I want to talk more about it now. Do you have favorite features, Heather? I'm just going to have you go back in now. Many weeks later, have there been any other developments? And then I want to tell both of you how our publishers could use the data to increase their earnings, as always is our goal.
So my favorite feature is still the page level data.
Me too.
It's still the biggest game changer for me, mostly because I think it's the easiest place that you can look and sort of like map user behavior with numbers. That's sort of my favorite part about it, because before we were just kind of guessing. We were looking at posts and sometimes looking deeper into your analytics and sort of guessing it if readers are using a jump button or scrolling really fast, and guessing if you have a really aggressive email opt-in that you forgot about because it's cached for you. You don't see it. You're not getting served that. And maybe is prompting your readers to navigate away early, so you're not serving as many ads as you could be. And the page level data is like the numbers are just there. So that is still my favorite feature, probably the thing that I dwell on the most when someone emails and asks questions. As far as new features, though, I really, really, really love all the recipe card settings that we added last week. I think it was like a slow rollout on Monday. We didn't really get any feedback. And then we started hearing from a lot of people on Wednesday. So I'm not super sure anybody really understood like all of that was there. There are more controls live today, which is really cool. But jump buttons are really popular. It is a user experience thing that we tried to sort of like marry with your earnings over the last couple of years, and now you finally can. So I think that's my favorite feature right now, is being able to make sure that you're actually serving ads where your readers are, so you can keep your user experience and not like light your paycheck on fire.
And what previously happened with that, so for a while, Mediavine was pretty anti-jump button just because of what it did to your earnings. Obviously, you skip all those ads, but not only that, it trashed your viewability with ads because these ads were serving and no one was seeing them. But we came up with features that were previously exclusive to Create. people that were using Create for their recipe card or their how-to card. And what this new development was from last week was that they're now available to different WordPress plugins that people that were using. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so basically Create always had the option to like monetize better than the other cards, just because you can control the frequency of the ads that are serving there, just like you can for your in-content ads, right? And you can, for like more than a year, you've been able to use the jump button, but not lose your in-content viewability because you scroll to the top of the card where there's an ad that serves. And so, it's like I said, you can keep your user experience, you can cater to your people that are in a big fat hurry, but you can also like not light your paycheck on fire. So
always a fan of not lighting paychecks on fire. I appreciate that. And then what additional controls got added today? Will you give a little detail on that?
Carmen,
or Carmen, anyone who wants to do it.
Yeah, of course. So today we launched frequency settings within the recipe cards, which is something that we hadn't initially launched when we first put those new features live. So if you head to your settings in your dashboard and check out your in-content ad settings, you now have the option to set the recipe density and the default ad density in your recipe card. So you can set it at the default, which just kind of optimizes the ad placement for the length of the recipe. So if it's a really long recipe, an appropriate amount of ads will show in there, or medium or low, or you can set it to none also. So you have ultimate control of how many ads are showing up there, which is really cool.
All the controls. And then, Eric's blog post from today talks some about that, why we are so committed to putting those controls in the hands of our readers. It's a balance between the ads and the money. So another thing that we're actually going to start talking more about tomorrow with the blog post are some new diversity settings, diversity questions in the dashboard that's going right along with our We Stand With You initiative that we launched, was it like 6 weeks ago? Time has lost all.
It's the vortex.
For me. I mean, we were in Ireland and then there was Corona and now it's August. So that's pretty much sums up my last 6 months. So we're continuing on with that commitment that we made, which is all about pushing for equality and inclusion and diversity. We have there's more information. So we're asking in the dashboard, we're going to put out a blog post tomorrow explaining how to get that information to us so that we can push for more equity in earnings for minorities. And that's not only BIPOC, so ethnic, but also sex and LGBTQIA+. So lots of really exciting things happening. Carmen, can you I'll give a little more detail on that for us?
I think I have been, just since the beginning of everything that's been happening over the past couple of months, I have been so excited and just feel really proud to be a part of Mediavine and all of the advocacy that they're on the forefront of. Some of the new settings basically allow you to identify with different demographics, like if you're a woman-owned business, or your ethnicity, if you're a Black-owned business, or if you're a part of the LGBTQIA+ community, you can opt into those. That way, advertisers that are running influencer campaigns that want to reach those demographics can identify our publishers, and they'll be accessible for those campaigns that we're running. So I think it's really cool. It's just one of many things that Mediavine has been doing to advocate for these communities, and I'm really excited about all of it.
I'm excited too. And also, you said it perfectly. So proud. One of the cool things that we're giving a little insight on in that blog post that's dropping tomorrow is talking to our development team on how they went about creating the options and finding the most sensitive and respectful way to ask those questions. And not only to talk to the publishers, but also talking to our LGBTQIA and BIPOC employees and talking about the best way to go about it. Amy Cat said that's so awesome. We think it's awesome too. We think so too, Amy. We're excited. We're going to share, we'll share that blog post tomorrow. But like I said, insight from our developers, because the Mediavine, not only are our publishers incredibly diverse, our team is incredibly, incredibly diverse. And that is something that we value and take into account so that it's not only, we don't never want to be prescriptive in the way that we try to incorporate diversity and inclusion. So this is a way of being. She's back again. Hi. Let's go to a different topic. Since I started at Mediavine 3 years ago, I've always thought that our complimentary deep dive site optimization are just the bee's knees. I love that any Mediavine publisher can reach out to publisher support and ask how they can earn more, and they are entitled to a detailed, personalized action plan. And I know I sound like a cheeser and an Eddie Haskell because I work here and a brown noser, but this is still badass to me, and it has not lost its luster in the course of the time that I've been here. It's unprecedented customer service. I already said that. I also have been saying unprecedented in almost all my emails recently because
it's a great word.
I can't stop saying it. I cannot stop. It's
many things are unprecedented this year, though, Jenny. I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Well, thank you. It's also, but it's repetitive though, and I find myself now. I shared this on Instagram the other day that it's a meme, and it's like, please don't say unprecedented again. Don't say it again. Well, let's go back to unprecedented customer service, and hopefully we'll come back. So I know that you had mentioned, Carmen, that the optimization requests are pretty hot and heavy right now.
Yes.
Coming in a lot more, and we're seeing a lot more of that. So will you talk about what goes into providing these site-specific deep dives, what questions people are having, and then some top tips?
Yes, of course. I think the biggest question many publishers have, obviously, is how do I increase my revenue? Mm-hmm. Sometimes publishers can be super laser focused on RPM and some of the site health settings that we have, like reaching all teal. But there's a lot more that goes into optimizing a site and all of the different things that you can do to improve overall revenue and site performance. So when we're looking at sites, we really look at each site like organically and holistically, because every site is different. We never want to prescribe the same, result for every site that we look at. We want to look at each site's data, their settings, their site speed, their the history of like our conversations that we had. Like if there's something we know the publisher doesn't really want to run on their site, or something that they're not comfortable with. We're looking at their actual post content, how it's formatted. We look at conflicts, really anything and everything under the sun to make sure that all of those different aspects, because they do play a huge role in overall revenue and in advertising and your overall site performance. Because as you guys know, Mediavine isn't just focused on ads, we're focused on full service management. So it's really about the big picture and how all of those things connect together. So there are tons of different metrics that we're looking at. I definitely wanted to offer you guys up a couple of tips that might be not so typical for things that we look at in site audits. Basically, there's a lot of things that we look at when we're doing a site audit, and every site is different. Really, no one is the same.
So some personalized tips from both of you would be great on some things that maybe are less expected, that are a little bit surprising.
I think we should talk about page level data a little bit, at least. This is one of Heather's favorite topics and one of my favorites too, because it's such a cool new feature in the dashboard that really allows you to look at how each of your posts are performing and look at your posts that are performing really well and seeing what's going right for those posts. So you can kind of use that information to inform how you're creating future content and how you're editing your other content that's getting traffic as well. So if you're in your Mediavine dashboard, you scroll down to your top pages, you'll see all of those settings that show you the views, the revenue, RPM, and impressions per page is something that we really like to zone in on because it shows you on average how many impressions that post is getting, ad impressions. So if you notice there's a post within that top page range that's getting a ton of impressions, like maybe 12 to 15 or something, and your other posts throughout those top posts are around 8, take a look at the post that's performing really well and see what's going right for that post. Like, is it a particular keyword? Is it the format? Do you have lots of long vertical images in that post? Is it scrolling? For some reason, is the content keeping the reader there for a longer amount of time and encouraging them to engage on the page? Because time on page is really important when it comes to advertising too. And then you can use that data and everything that you know about how well that post is performing to optimize your other posts with those same suggestions in mind.
Love that. Heather, anything for you to add on individual or somewhat maybe unique optimizations or hot tips that are coming in?
So Carmen really hit all my favorite highlights. I love page level data. That is, that's where I always start with everything. But I guess viewability would be the other thing that I think I really like to zone in on. And I think it's a thing that maybe publishers sort of glaze over and don't know what we're talking about. But it's always a focus of mine when I'm trying to figure out how to help people, is to look at those numbers. So.
Go in a little bit more on viewability. Tell us, what is it, first of all, for anyone that might not know what viewability is, and then where to find it and how to improve it.
So where to find it is in your dashboard. If you look at the breakdown of your ad units, so you'll be able to see it for every ad unit that you're running. And then you can also scroll down at the bottom and you can see your site-wide average. You want your site-wide average to be over 70%. I think all of our sites at Mediavine average like about 72%. So we've got some higher, some lower. If you're below 70%, we've got some work to do, because the whole reason it matters is because advertisers are going to pay more for ads that are seen. That's kind of the whole point. It's the reason we focus on site speed because user experience matters, but we also focus on site speed because it makes you more money. If I'm a brand and I'm figuring out where to put my dollars, the site where the ads are actually getting seen is way more of a sure thing. And it can be a tricky thing to work on because it's not always, it's a thing that sort of improves or decreases over time. It's not like you can push a button and tomorrow be like, look, my RPM has increased by $5, so it's sort of gradual. And also sometimes site speed is a thing, but you can use page level data to sort of circle back around and figure out how to improve your viewability. It's really just a measure of how long an ad was seen by the user.
Got
it. That's literally all it is. It's just a metric we pull from the ad server. Your in-content ads are always going to have the lowest. So if they're not, and your adhesion units are usually going to be the highest, especially desktop adhesion. And that just makes sense because they're always in view. Other quick things that you can do to sort of increase that number is to make sure that your page speed settings are enabled.
Okay.
Very true.
And then if you are using a jump button, make sure that you're taking advantage of at least one of those recipe card options. It doesn't have to be all of them. You don't have to go crazy. The line there is going to be different for everyone. For some people, they were really digging the arrival unit. For other people, they were just liking the fact that when they have 43 steps to make sourdough bread, that there are ads, that are in between the instructions. That was a better fit. You're really just trying to make sure that wherever your reader is, you are also monetizing that space.
Yes to that. Also, Trellis is another good one too. We've noticed sites running Trellis, their viewability shoots up. Obviously, viewability is a huge part of how advertisers spend. So it was a huge focus when they were developing Trellis. And sites on the Trellis beta have seen viewability increase significantly. So that's definitely another reason to check Trellis out.
The numbers. Someone has the numbers somewhere. I don't know.
And it's just waiting to say it. Carmen, what is Trellis?
Oh no! Don't put me on the spot, Jenny.
What is Trellis?
No,
everyone knows. I like that you jumped the audience at mentioning Trellis because
I know
we have
got out in front of it.
Yeah, we have a counter on like minutes until Trellis is mentioned in 3, 2, and now we're doing it. Let's do it.
Yes. So for those of you guys that don't know, Trellis is Mediavine's new framework, kind of like Genesis or other like previous frameworks, except it's way better because it's optimized for ads, viewability, speed, all of the incredible things that help boost your ad performance and your overall site performance and make user experience incredible. And there are also some really cool themes that go along with it too. And I think options for developers to create customizations and different theme settings as well on top of that. But it's going to be a game changer for sites, viewability, ad performance, site speed, all of the good things that go into overall performance of your site and SEO and of revenue.
Heather, do you have personal experience with Trellis?
I do. I've been running it. I can't remember what month it was that we installed it last year. Or yeah, I think it was last year. Again, I don't really know what time is anymore.
What is time?
It's a construct anyway.
Viewability jumped overnight. It's been pretty easy. I'm running a theme that is getting a revamp. But yeah, so it's not one that you might have seen. It's the Wisteria theme, and I think it's going to change a little bit. If you're ever poking around on my site, that's what you're looking at. There are a lot of people on the support team that are running, I think is it Bamboo? There are a lot of people that are running just the basic Trellis framework. And if you've seen that, I've seen some comments in groups where they're sort of like worried about the aesthetics. It's literally just the framework with no styling. So it'd be like if you installed Genesis and then ran that with no theme is basically what you're looking at. So in that context, it's very, very pretty, straight out of the box, and it's very simple and very clean. But it's going in a good direction. But like I've really liked it. And I think when we look at themes as bloggers, I think we always look at the homepage. Homepages are really customizable. You can change them. That is not where your readers are. Mm-hmm. Your readers are looking at your posts. They're not looking at your homepage. They're looking at your posts on mobile. And I think my posts on mobile look really nice. It's very easy to navigate. I got a little search bar up at the top. And I think that everybody is like super excited about Trellis because it's fast, because site speed is such a pain in the ass to solve. It's like one of those things where you're like, I don't know who to ask for help, and I don't know who to hire. And it's like
$11 billion.
Yeah. And it's like the living version of that like head desk emoji.
Yes. And it's especially that when you're like going to test your page speed and you're like, what? They have all of those errors and you're like, I don't know what this is for.
And Google doesn't make reports that you can read in English. So you're just like, whatever, I don't know what to do with this. But I think in the context of getting all wrapped up in the site speed parts of things, we forget that the whole point to all of it is to make blogging easy and also to make more money. Having a faster site helps you grow your readership. It, circling back to viewability, increases that. So advertisers are paying more for your ads. Like at the end of the day, like the behind the scenes goal of all the things we do is to help you grow your business as a blogger in lots of ways. And also to help you make more money.
And if you want to think about when people talk about site speed not being something they're focusing on or not being that important, or because there's all of these now over the past however many years we've been talking about site speed since at least 2016, 2017, even longer. Now that Google is prioritizing it, a lot of the social media platforms, everyone is prioritizing site speed as one of their ranking factors. So that all of those reasons, but I just think of it as myself as a user on my phone.
Agree.
How long I wait before I hit the back button, and then I'm done and I don't go back anymore. And I'm sorry, it's gone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I think the team that is taking care of the beta, shout out to Maddie Howe and our support engineers that are like hugging all of our customers into Trellis land. Look at how many things that you are costing your users with. Because Jenny was talking about backing out of things, and that's not always because of site speed. It is often just because like you forgot that you're asking readers to opt in 72 ways before they even saw your content, and because you don't usually experience your site as a first-time user, you forget those things are there. You forgot you set it up last year when you were taking a course on something and then implemented something else on top of it, because it looks good to you on your end. So I can't stress enough to just like look at your site as a user, but also Trellis has been a good way for bloggers to sort of let go of all the bloaty things that they have on their site that they didn't actually need.
I like Heather's. Heather wrote a blog post a long time ago about using heat maps as a blogger and ways to actually figure out what are potentially vanity things that you think or you've just forgotten. Like you said, you don't even know. We don't know. Like we use our sites like coming through the front door like a house, and we want people to go on the house tour that we set up for them, but they don't. They're coming through the bathroom window because they saw your sprinkle cookie recipe from 4 years ago on Pinterest, and here they are. And that's not the optimized thing that you're trying to do. So the heat map, your idea, and we'll share that blog post, the heat map that you came up, the blog post tells you how to use it to figure out how people are actually doing things on your site. So
yeah, I'm all about making data-driven decisions. And I think
yes.
like it's super easy to like read through Facebook groups and see things that other people are doing and either feel like you're behind the ball and you're missing something super important that everybody else is doing, or you feel like, well, I should implement that too. You know, you really just like the way it looks, right? And you don't actually, so people add all these things that maybe look pretty. They look pretty for you, and they look pretty for your friends that are also bloggers that actually know how to use them. But the main question is, at the end of the day, like, does your reader use it? Do they know how to use it? Do they even know what it is? You know, so heat maps are amazing for that.
Very helpful. We shared that blog post. So guys, I want to ask, this was not on our prep document, and I want to ask, it's something we say, I have heard from the beginning, and I just love to hear it in other people's language. Why is everyone obsessed with RPM? 1, 2, why do we tell people not to compare RPMs?
I think people are obsessed with RPM just because it's one of the most known acronyms in the blogging industry. There are a lot of misconceptions about what it actually means and how you should use it to analyze your site and analyze your performance. So we always say this, RPM does not equal earnings. RPM is just a calculation after the fact of how your site has earned. So RPM can be useful for some things, but for the most part, we want to look at CPMs and some of those other page level data stats that we were talking about that show how advertisers are actually responding to your content and how your individual content is actually earning. I'm not sure where a lot of the misconceptions with RPM have come from. Heather might have some more words on that, but
I mean, I have a lot of words. It's the number that people know to look at. And I think that just based on my personal experience and all of my conversations with customers, I think that most of the time people don't even really understand all the way what it is. It is literally just math. I won't bore you to death with what it is, but somebody can like type it in the comments. It's just earnings divided by traffic times 1,000. And that traffic might be session. It might be page views. You can calculate your RPM for your affiliate earnings. You can use it in all sorts of different ways, but it's math that happens after you already earned all your money. It's not the rate at which you're paid. And I think that the way that it is compared and shared, I think that that's what people think that it is. But you're actually paid based on impressions and CPM. So yeah. Impressions times CPM, and then divide that by 1,000, and that's the money that you're putting in your pocket. And RPM is not going to pay your mortgage, but your earnings will. So I think that is why our dashboard sort of really goes in on all the details, CPM, impressions, all the little numbers that sort of make you glaze over. I think that understanding where your money is coming from, for me, before I worked here, I had no idea how any of it worked. It has been like a fly by the seat of my pants, learn it on the job, on the fly kind of thing. But I think it's super important to me for our customers to understand their money, understand where it actually does come from, and also how to make more of it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and Heather is actually maybe working on a really cool post that's going to come out soon that will give a lot more information on that. So I'm excited for that to come. While we're talking about RPMs, for as much as we discuss and offer all the blog posts and videos and education and help docs and personalized emails and all of the things we offer about ways that our publishers can optimize and increase ad revenue, the truth is that there is a significant portion of advertising spend that is just seasonal. and it's outside of our control. So serenity prayer. A great place to learn more about this whole thing is on one of our most popular posts is Ad Revenue by the Seasons. It's by B-Rad, the VP of Ad Ops, Hagman.
Shout out to Brad from the
Shout out to Brad. We're going to share that. It's updated all the time. It's very helpful, but we're at the beginning of a new month. It's in Q3, and there's just things that are true about that time. So Carmen, can you talk, because you have people that every time that there's a new month, people lose their ish a little bit. So can we talk about that and why this is a thing?
Yes, I'll start by saying that the summer slump is very real. Luckily, we're over July, where historically we see advertiser spend drop pretty significantly. And things start to gradually level out as we get further into Q3 and closer to Q4, where those advertising budgets are higher. And obviously there's a pandemic going on right now, so not everything is completely predictable. Yeah, you didn't know. But not everything is completely predictable, but what we like to focus on are the positive things that we can do to help increase performance despite those things. So the first of the month it's typical to see RPM or overall earnings drop because advertisers reset their budgets at the beginning of every month. And that's why you typically see advertiser spend or maybe your overall revenue increase a little bit at the end of the month because they're dumping the rest of those budgets, getting ready for the new month where those new campaigns are starting and new plans that they have are starting. So we always get a lot of emails about RPM drops towards the first and that first week. That's totally normal. Definitely something to expect. And when it's the start of a new quarter, it can be multiplied a little bit too. So let's say like the first day of Q3, which would have been July 1st, it would have been a little bit higher because they're resetting those quarterly budgets along with the monthly budget that they have in place. There are definitely things that we can do to help alleviate that, which is why we always encourage our publishers to email in, talk to us. We're there to help you optimize and focus on the positive things that you can do despite seasonal trends, even though that's always going to be a factor. That doesn't mean that there's no way up or nothing that we can do to alleviate that a little bit.
We need like a digital advertising serenity prayer to change the things that we can and the wisdom to know the difference. The other thing I wanted to talk about as we're getting ready to, because Carmen alluded to it, and there's a lot of, while Q4 is a great thing, there's also a myth of Q4, I think, and maybe a little bit of a misunderstanding about what Q4 actually does mean in terms of earnings, because I think people get a little twisted about what it is. Heather, can you talk a bit about why? Because some people think Q4 broken, and I don't think it is. Could you explain that for us?
Yeah, it's not broken, but it is sort of. It follows the same trends that Carmen was talking about. So I was sitting here thinking while I was listening to her talk that pay attention to the day of the week too, because every site that I've looked at that has emailed in the last couple of days, we actually just had a meeting about this earlier today. The first this month fell on a Saturday. Saturdays tend to be high. Sundays are sometimes a little bit lower than Saturdays. If we look like averages there, Saturdays tend to be like the high point of the week, sometimes Sundays for some people. And then if you look at your normal patterns and like what days of the week things sort of like ebb and flow, Monday is where you see a dip. So you didn't see a dip on the first this month. You saw a dip on the third because the third was the Monday, right? So and if you look back year over year, you can kind of follow those patterns. And if you match them up to the days of the week on the calendar, it'll help you sort of predict what to expect, so that you're not just like, oh, seasonal change. Okay. Yeah. So,
yes, that.
Q4 is another thing that kind of depends on the day of the week. So to predict what that's going to look and feel like, I like to look at where Thanksgiving is going to fall. Like last year, it was kind of late in the year. So like October is just regular. Most of the time, October is just regular. It's the first month of a new quarter, right? So advertisers are not trying to get you to buy all of your holiday gifts before Halloween. I don't know how many Halloween specific ads there are that are seasonal, but when you're talking about seasonal spend, most of that happens like once you get to November. So October tends to be more conservative. For me on my side, I feel like my September is often higher, or at least the same level. And then once you get to November, things start to pick up speed. But again, you don't really, I think in our heads, we think about like the numbers that are super insanely high. And that usually happens according to when people are actually buying things. The closer to Thanksgiving you get, and then usually the weekend after, that's typically where you see like a big peak. And then December sort of, you don't really see that traditional dip on the first of the month, but it depends on your site and your content too.
Yes.
And like, you know, that's, you know, are you a site that sees a lot of traffic in December? Or are you a site where people are not really worried about you in December? You know, it really kind of depends on like what your focus is. Anyway, Q4 is pretty predictable, but like where advertisers are like dumping the bulk of their budget really, really relies on like when they think people are going to be spending all of their money. So it might not be late in the month of December. It might be all squished like right on top of Thanksgiving and early in the month of December. And if you have a couple of years worth of data, I think that that is kind of good to look at. Look at the days of the week and where things fall. And, you know, obviously if you're trying to plan for like content, which is, you know, a good way to get out in front of things, you can look at what was popular for you. And if you need to add a video and, you know, figure out ways to sort of like incrementally increase the prediction that you have.
Brenda said, for me, one of the reasons I pay attention to RPM is because it's one of the big metrics on the revenue bar in our dashboard. So it kind of makes me think that it's extra important to pay attention to. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a good metric. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not
bad.
It's just like not. It's a good metric for you. So like Brenda's RPM is like where Brenda needs to focus. But Brenda's RPM and my RPM are probably not the same because we have totally different sites and our readers are doing things in totally different ways. And even when you have like a site that is very similar, maybe you have the same theme and you feel like, oh, we did all the same things. Everything is the same. Your readership is still really different. And how people navigate your content is still really different.
That's the one I hear all the time is like, well, I'm a DIY blogger and she's a DIY blogger and we are both 37 years old. And we are both from the South. And then there seems to be some sort of a feel like they should be this. We post on the same days of the week at the same, like, and it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even I was on the phone with a customer maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and they were looking at settings. They were like, our settings are the same. You know, they were talking about a friend that they had been working with, and they were like, our strategy is the same. Everything in our dashboard looks the same, but these numbers are different. But if me and Carmen have the same in content frequency set, but my trending post is 2,000 words and her trending post is 300 words plus the recipe card, I'm serving a lot more impressions.
Yep. Or if for some reason her readers are staying on the page for like a minute longer or engaging or scrolling with that page for a longer time, then it's going to create those extra impressions. So performance is going to be a little bit different. And there's a lot of different small factors like that go into overall RPM. There's probably a million different factors. That's why comparison really isn't super productive, but zoning in on your own performance and finding what you can do specifically to increase your reader engagement and all of those things that we recommend is really where we like our publishers to focus.
And you can also use it to predict and set goals for yourself, right? So instead of being like, well, you know, my number yesterday was this, and Carmen's number yesterday was this, you know, and deciding which one is good. You know, instead it's like, well, my number on, you know, July 30th last year was this, and this year I've increased by X percentage. And I think that's like the way that those metrics should be used, I guess.
Yes.
You mentioned that one of the things that you can do to increase earnings is add a video. Video is king as always. And we say it's one of the easiest ways to increase your RPM. Talk a bit about video. It can either be or both. What's the easiest way to dip your toes into video? What tips do you have for making the most of the video someone already has?
I would say video really is just the start. So adding a video and getting one up is an amazing first step, but really how its performance is going to make the biggest impact is the settings and all the little things that go into the dashboard with your videos. So I think if you're dipping your toes into video, my recommendation would be first, if you don't have any other video content on your site, or you're kind of just wanting to get started with one single video, our featured video option is amazing because it allows you to implement video on posts that don't have a specific dedicated video. So it could be like a cool showcase of your content or of your site, or really whatever. And that will run on all the posts throughout your site that don't have a dedicated video embedded. Along with that, I highly recommend implementing our autoplay for mobile and desktop settings. Those are autoplaying without sound. They are still really great for user experience, but once the user scroll past it, the video pops out into the side of your screen and it scrolls with the reader. They do have an option to exit out of it. Along with that, if you are running autoplay video, we recommend the placement be in the top right because it's the best for user experience and overall performance, and encourages readers not to exit out of it. Apart from that, super, super, super important things with video are to make sure that you are adding relevant keywords to your video in your dashboard and that you're linking to the most relevant blog posts. Those are vital for SEO and they can make a really big difference on how advertisers are spending on those. So those would be probably my biggest tips, not just uploading the video, but really zoning in on those settings that are going to make a big difference in your performance.
My biggest tips are to make sure that you embed the video. And also like, don't let it intimidate you. Like you have to start somewhere. So don't think that you need to go spend like $1 bajillion on fancy production, or that you need to hire somebody, or do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like even for me, sometimes when I think about video, I'm like, oh, this feels so cumbersome. And I sort of talk myself out of doing it. It's super easy. There are some apps that you can use where you can just take little video clips with your phone, and then you can weave those little video clips into a video that is succinct and useful for your readers. I feel like that's relevant for any niche.
Totally.
And fun feature. I just was thinking about closed captioning because it's been such like a hot topic lately. There's like an easy button in the dashboard where you can literally just toggle on closed captioning for any videos that you have that are just sound. So like if you have a hands and pans video, or you put together a video that's like just music and maybe you added some like useful text on top of your images, you can just toggle the easy button in your Mediavine dashboard and we add those closed caption music playing files for you.
How rad is it that we actually have an easy button now in this? It's pretty awesome. Like we knocking on the door, Home Depot. I wanted to share that we actually had, I don't know, Heather, have you ever used Jump Rope? We actually worked with Jump Rope a week ago. Megan created a video in like, I don't even know, less than 20 minutes on her phone. And we had a bunch of people say that it was a super easy way to make videos. So that's something. Noreen is asking, can you give us a list of some of those apps? Jump Rope is definitely one of them, but there's other ones, Animoto. Do you have others?
The support team uses Animoto, and the other one that people in the Facebook group really mention and recommend a lot is Lumen 5. I would say those are probably the three. Yeah, those are pretty easy. And I would just say, like, definitely, like Brenda mentioned in the comments she just posted, just like start somewhere. Like once you just like add one and you sort of like beef up your earnings a little bit, but also are like making more useful content for your readers, it sort of gives you the confidence. And it's fun once you get started.
Brenda said, I started adding slideshow video to my posts in late August 2019, and my RPM is up 60% over this time last year. Definitely worth the time, even if they're simple videos of photos.
Yep. And you can also look at like the percentage of your earnings that video made up last year compared to this year. So you can see like if you started adding video, you can sort of like watch the advent. So maybe you added like 2 videos at the end of 2019, and now you have like a playlist of 60, and you've got lots of post specific videos embedded. It's fun to sort of see like what percentage of your earnings video makes up. The CPMs are so much higher for video that if it is accounting for a bigger slice of your earnings, it probably means you're doing something right.
Yeah, I agree. And post specific video is really amazing, and we highly recommend focusing on that if you already have a few videos under your belt, but also switching up that featured video that you have set in your dashboard. Take a look at your top video performance and see which ones have the highest viewability, highest CPMs, and highest fill rate, and consider switching out one of those for your feature video to see if it performs better in that spot, because oftentimes if advertisers are responding to it well where it's at, it could do really well in the featured video placement and maybe earn a little bit more than your previous one.
That sounds like a blog post to me, talking about how to experiment with your featured video. I think that's an awesome post.
Love that. So
we got Camilla says wave video is awesome. Fab. She said fab. She didn't say awesome. Camilla, I'm not putting words in your mouth. Amy Cat says, I really like Animoto. They keep improving it, and it's so easy to use. You can even make videos for Instagram stories and Pinterest pins now. Good feedback. Okay, guys, we're almost out of time. Heather, I'm afraid you'll drop away, away again, but stay, Heather. Before I go, we've really mostly addressed existing publishers, which is what the intention was. But another big portion of you guys' jobs is applications and looking at new potential publishers. So I wanted to ask what you guys are looking for in an application. It doesn't need to be a super detailed or long thing. I'll give you a second to think about it while I announce the next one. But if you were to give a word of advice for some aspiring Mediavine publishers, think on that for a moment. And I will say, guys, that next week, the Summer of Live is continuing. It is Thursday, August 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern. As always, same bat time, same bat channel. We are talking about how to have a successful mastermind group. And I'll have Lindsay Kmetz, who is the Moscato mom, and Leah Althizer, the Frugal South. They're going to come here. We're going to talk basically a roundtable discussion on how to put your own mastermind together and best tools that they use, ways to keep it going even when times are tough. And I think that masterminds, especially now in Rona times, are even more impactful than potentially they were before. And they were a pretty big deal before. So that's next week. We're super excited. Heather and Carmen, you guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. Tell us what you're looking for in an application. I love you too. Carmen, first, please.
I would say a big focus for us recently has been quality. And that can be a little bit subjective, obviously, but the look and feel of the site are super important because typically higher quality sites attract higher quality readerships. So that's really important. Obviously, we have the new sessions threshold, which is 50,000 sessions in the last 30 days now. And for those looking for some more traffic growth resources, we have a really cool dedicated section on our blog. I think it's mediavine.com/blog/traffic-growth, where we have compiled a huge list of all of the resources that we have available for growing traffic on your site. So those are two big things. Format has always been big, and basically having an ad setup that is going to perform well with our ads. And your analytics are big too, like how are readers interacting with your site? What demographics are they coming from? What posts are gaining the most traffic, and are those set up well to earn well with ads? All of those are super important things that we look at throughout the application process.
Awesome. Heather, anything from you on that ad?
I think Carmen hit all the high spots. I was just thinking about next week's live, and Nicole and I went to a retreat with Lindsay's mastermind in 1 year, maybe 2018. I don't remember. But it was wonderful then, and I think the same group is still together, so they will be like a super wealth of information. Yeah, that'll be a good live. Help keep people accountable. For applications, I think that quality is probably at the top of the list, and growth potential. You know, like I don't want to. I think before we changed our requirements, there are a lot of sites that were really good sites. They're great sites. They were getting search traffic. So like PDFs looked good. Readership was good, but they were sort of like niched down so far that the growth potential was like capped. You know, it was like something super specific, like a site about, I don't even have a good example, but so I think having a site where we know that you've got future goals for growth in mind. You know, we don't want to be with you for just a little while. We want to be working together for a really long time. I think knowing that we've got sites that, you know, it's going to be like a good relationship for an extended period of time is where it's at. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, we got her.
Great. We got you guys just in time to say bye. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. I love both of you.
Yes. Is it too late for me to add just a couple of last things? I do this with every single meeting. Heather knows. I love at the end of a good conversation to pull up a couple of takeaways from the conversation, just to group them together. So a couple of things we talked about today. Zone in on page level data. Use it to your advantage. Look at your site's data and what's performing well and create more of that and use it to inform your future content and optimization of your current content. Look at viewability. The major goal is for overall viewability to be 70%, and site speed is a huge part of that. Make sure you're running video, and more than that, pay really close attention to your video settings. Look at your site on your phone and use it like a reader. Check out our game-changing products. And something I always say is try things. If you don't like them, you aren't married to them, especially the recommendations we have for different settings and new things that we're releasing that are really great for revenue. You can always try it for a week or two, check it to see how it's how it's earning well on your site, and really use that data to inform whether or not it's something that's working well for you and your readership. But all of those settings are optional, and you can always turn them off at any time. So you're not married to it. And that's all.
Love it.
That was the best recap.
That was a great recap. My recap is data and email publishers always, because our publishers support team is amazing and they know everything. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, days. Bye.